My first vehicle was a 1985 Dodge Ram. This thing had 4 different tires on it and 4 different rims. It had chicken lights on the top of it. I don't even know what those things actually do, but all I knew in this truck is they didn't work. The bed of it, you'd need a tetanus shot just looking at it. I don't know what the people did before me, but apparently they hauled around salt water because none of my friends were getting in the back of that thing unless they signed some kind of death waiver. When I climbed into this thing to start it, I would stick the key in and turn it forward and it would go, hillbilly, and then it'd fire right up. To me, this truck was huge. I'm 5'6½", but it felt like I was driving a 16-wheeler everywhere I went. Like honestly, when I went to school, I tried to get there 3 hours early before everybody else got there, just so I could park it like 15 times to get it in the parking spot. And even then, I'd still have the back right tire always over the line. I didn't know coming out of school when we were getting out, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry, because like you'd have all these cars in a perfectly straight line, then you would get to my truck and it would be tilted, and then it's like a domino effect the rest of the way. All the cars are tilted. Heck, some of them are having to park up on curbs. My worst fear though was getting to school late, because on my left, the chick that, I guess her family was well off because she was driving Mercedes-Benz, and the person on my right, he was driving this nice but jacked up Jeep that had all kinds of kits and caboodles all over it. It had, over the tires, it had nice little plastic rim thingies. I don't even know what they were called. But one morning, my worst fear came true. I was fiddle farting around and trying to eat breakfast and stuff, and I ended up I looked at the clock and I was like, oh my gosh, here it is, I'm running late. So I go crawling into my truck and I know I gotta get myself pumped up, because it's going to be like the most hardest challenge I've ever faced before in my life. So I cram in my little cassette tape, it's dangling off a little aux cord. I plug it in my 2 megabyte MP3 player. I crank it up on the one speaker that works and I head on out to school. I get to the school parking lot and it's packed. Everybody's already in school. Here goes my nerves out the roof. I crawled real slow. I probably was going about 2 miles an hour, and I looked, and there it was. The Mercedes-Benz was parked just fine, and the Jeep was parked just fine, which left me no escape whatsoever. I was trying to pull in there, and it was kind of like I was just going back and forth several times, you know, and I kept kind of glancing behind me and to my left and to my right to make sure nobody was watching, because it was really embarrassing. So after about the 12th try, I was mainly focused on the Mercedes-Benz, because I knew if I jacked that thing up, it was going to be a terrible, terrible incident for me. So I'm eyeballing it. I'm eyeballing it. And I'm pulling back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And then finally, I was blessed, because I was finally in my parking spot and I had plenty of room to open my door and not hit the Mercedes-Benz or nothing. And when I got out, I felt amazing until I looked to my right, and then my heart shot out my butthole, because the Jeep that was parked next to me no longer had 4 tires on the ground. No. The Jeep had 2 tires on the ground, because somehow our tires and our tire wells, they intertwined and made love, and my car in the process somehow jacked the side of his Jeep up, so it was actually tilted like this, and I freaked out. So I hopped back into my truck. Hillbilly started it right back up. I put it in reverse. I'm backing up, I'm looking left, I'm looking right, I'm looking left, and I'm making it worse, just grinding it back and forth. And I could just see that Jeep, it looked like it had hydraulics. It was just lifting up and down, and I was like, oh God, you know, that Jeep was white. And, you know, my red and white paint job on my truck was just like decayed. And so after about 15 times of picking it up and letting it down, I finally got parked, and I looked and I got out. I was like, oh dear God, you know, and I looked over and I seen there was just red all the way down the side of it. And I was like, I'm screwed. That guy's going to kick my butt. So I went into school, and all throughout school, I'm just completely nervous. I'm petrified. I'm jittering, and I'm like, how can I do this? So I got the bright idea in my head. I'm going to leave school just a little bit early so I can get out to my truck and I can get a bottle of water and a rag, and maybe I can scrape some of the rust off because it's not really that much paint. And so that was the game plan. I got out there early, and then I realized when I got out there that I didn't have a rag. So the next closest thing I had was my shirt. So I said, screw it, I'm going to do whatever I got to get this done. And I took that water bottle and I took off my shirt like a true redneck, and I soaked it down. And I got over there and I scrubbed the crap out of his Jeep, man. I scrubbed it with my forearm, I scrubbed it with my elbow, I scrubbed it with my face and my hair. I scrubbed it every which way I could. I scrubbed it hard. After I finished all the scrubbing, I was so proud of myself. My white shirt was no longer white, but I was happy to say it was rusted. The beautiful rust color of my truck was upon my shirt and no longer upon his Jeep. But then school let out, and I mean every pretty girl you could think of, every dude, everybody's coming out of the school, and I am a ginger. I do not tan. I do not look pretty without my shirt. I am white all over, and my teats are shining. And so I just walk out to the edge of my truck, and I see them, and it's like everybody in the whole parking lot staring at me. And I got this disgusting shirt in my hand, so I did the one thing I knew to do. I took that wet shirt, I threw it over my shoulder, I popped my hips out real strong, I put my hand up on the bed of my truck, and I said, howdy y'all.